If you are invested in a project, be it monetarily or even emotionally, in a project of any kind, there's a period of construction. It's a very interesting period where it's actually being built. This project, this building, for example, is actually being put together. And it's a uniquely exciting period. You can see the buds of fulfillment of the plans that have been made. But it's also a season with its own unique set of challenges. And so that is the topic for today, construction. And we're going to be starting in chapter 14 in this episode. Chapter 14, we're going to start reading in verse number 4. 14:4 of the book of Proverbs. And it says this: where no oxen are, the crib or the stall is clean, but much increase is by the strength of the ox. So in other words, if you don't have an ox, then there's not going to be any excrement to clean out of the stall. However, an ox is what is used to plow, and ultimately that is where the food supply comes from, is by the field, from the fields. And an ox were used for building projects and pulling things around, the transfer of goods and the increase of goods. So since the analogy here in the scripture is one of oxen, I want to continue with that analogy, and let's build a ranch. Okay? Follow me here. A completely operational ranch has a purpose, and it is to raise oxen, to raise cattle. So take that same ranch and go back in time before it was fully developed. Before it was a ranch, it was an open field, maybe a nice quiet field. But then building begins, and suddenly that nice quiet field is noisy and muddy now. It is no longer the quiet field of just natural beauty, and it's certainly not the strong buildings and grounds that have function and purpose and beauty that is in the grand vision of the architect. I would say that in the phase of construction, it actually looks worse than before construction began or afterward. Because during construction, it appears like it is dirtier, messier, and in every way worse than before. It's louder too. When there's construction going on, it's normally a loud, dirty, messy time. So that construction phase is an odd phase of transition where you take it from that nice, beautiful open field to a nice, beautiful, fully functioning ranch. And so the rancher knows this. And so to accomplish his purpose, which is to raise cattle, all the infrastructure and the personnel, etc., have to be there at the same time from the beginning for it to be fully operational. So he begins work on the barn, right? That sounds like a good place to start, because, we need some shelter for certain livestock that need that especially more than others. And then while he's working on the barn, he's like, oh my goodness, I need to build some fencing in here, or they're going to get on the neighbor's property, because they're getting over into the neighbor's property. And so he rushes off to build the fence. And then in a panic, he realizes that the sun is setting, and where's he's going to live? So he goes off and in a panic runs off to try to start work on his own house. It all needs to be there for it to be fully functioning simultaneously, to be a fully functional and operational ranch. So it's kind of like getting a sheet on a mattress. The analogy I just told you. You get one corner, and then the other one over there pops off. And then you go to correct that one, and then the other one over there pops off. So let's put this in personal terms. We all have our own personal directives from the Lord that He has told us to go do. Now, so let's put it in our analogy. The Lord has told us to go build our ranch, whatever that is, whatever that metaphor is for you. You know with a certainty, whatever it is, God has told you that your ranch is, for our analogy today. This could consist of just things of our own character, who we are to be in the Lord. And sometimes that includes getting things out of our life, and sometimes getting things in our life. Our directives from the Lord can include things that we're to accomplish, like our goals and our dreams, and even non-tangible desires that we have, that He has given us. So if you want to grow and to progress and have increase, be it in career or in school or in your talents and relationships, in your own integrity and in your character and your walk with the Lord, you are going to have to, as the scripture says, shovel some stuff. Because increase comes by the strength of the ox. There will be a period of time where everything seems seemingly worse, more dirty, more unorganized, more of a mess. So say that the Lord is dealing with you about having an actual prayer time with Him, an actual time set aside for prayer. And so you actually do it, and you go and you sit yourself down and you clear your mind, and you're so happy you're about to enter in your prayer time doing what God has called you to do, what you feel He wants you to do, and then comes somebody asking you a mundane question, totally breaks your train of thought, and then the frustration builds up. Can't you see I'm trying to pray? Oh goodness, that's a sheet popping off moment. That's working on the barn and then realizing, the house has to be built too, So in this scenario, what God has told you to do was to get closer to Him, and then you realize in your spirit that frustration that built up. What is this noisy, dusty, dirty mess that rose up inside me? I didn't have to deal with that before. Well, construction, by its very nature, digs up stuff and displaces things, and sometimes reveals stuff that was buried that we didn't know was there. Because everything can be much more comfortable and tidy before construction begins. So there are 2 steps I'm going to leave you with to help get through this this odd and uncomfortable, messy phase of transition of construction, to be more precise. Number 1 is to not worry. It's to endure. So let's read a couple scriptures. James 1:4 says, "But let patience," or endurance, "have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, wanting or lacking nothing." Philippians 1:6 says this, "Being confident of this very thing," in other words, you're not worrying if you're confident, "that He which has begun the good work will perform that good work and complete it until the day of the Lord." So how do you not worry? How do you endure to the end? We find that step here. It says we are to wash ourselves in the Word. We are to allow peace and endurance to flood our spirit. 2 Timothy 3:17 says this, that the scripture is that the man given to us, that the man of God may be perfect or complete, thoroughly furnished unto all good works, completely equipped. Now that doesn't sound like a sheet popping off type of scenario. That doesn't sound like having things dug up that you didn't know were there. It says that He will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on Him. So don't be discouraged if things look worse before they look better. because that's the nature of construction. You're going to have to shovel some stuff. Don't worry, endure, and wash yourself in the Word. Lord, help us to apply it to our lives today. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.